Howdy, this is Dr. Chapar. Today we are going to talk about the customer service level and specifically setting customer service level targets and then measuring the performance. Now, usually customer service treated as a constraint in supply chain design. What that means is you have an objective in terms of customer service level. For example, you may have next day delivery as your objective. Given this objective, you design the network. That means you will determine the location, number of warehouses, the mode of transportation to basically make that next day delivery possible. Whenever you are doing business, you hope everything to go based on the expectations, but there are some cases when things get a little bit rough. There are a lot of disruption and uncertainties in the supply chain. So for those, you have to have some kind of plans. I'll discuss that one in the next slide a little bit more, but let's go to the measuring the service performance. This is a logistics course. As we discussed before, we are going to primarily concern ourselves with the logistical metrics. You could use the number of back orders or percent of back orders as your metric, as well as the stockouts. We mentioned that on-time delivery is one of the most important aspects of logistical performance. So you got to measure that one. Inaccurate orders. This could be you placing orders to your supplier or you delivering inaccurate orders to your customers. Order cycle time and fill rate. And usually firms would have many of these together in a metric system, and they follow all of them and try to make adjustment according to the need. Now, as I discussed, there are a lot of uncertainties in supply chains, as well as there are unforeseen events that could happen to any geographic region or any supply chain. Right now, we are going through, hurricane season, and that's a big disruption for almost all supply chains. And if you are designing a supply chain, you need to make sure that you have some kind of coping mechanism with those disruption. You could have insured the risk. This is especially true for insuring your business. Plus, for example, you may want to have some hedging against the currency changes and so forth. You might be doing some heavy business with one of the preferred supplier, but having alternate supplier is a key, especially when your preferred supplier cannot handle the demand or is having some kind of problems. Arranging alternate transportation. Again, usually you may have a certain method of transporting. You need to make sure that you are adjusting quickly, right? For that, you also need to have a quick response mechanism or a responsive supply chain. You may need to shift the demand. That could be a geographic shift in terms of supplying these demands from a certain region, or it could be a shift in time. For example, you may be able to tell your customer that if they order next month, they can get some discount, and some customer may just do that. And set inventories for disruption. Again, when something bad happens in supply chain, how would you deal with them? If you have some inventories, you can probably deal much easily than not having them, right? And there are a lot of examples in business environment where these disruptions cause the businesses to even go out of business or significantly be impacted by it. So most of the times the companies would have some supply chain risk mitigation or reduction policy. And then they would also have policies to tell them how to perform under certain situation, right? I'll give you a couple of examples. About 15 years ago, there was a new Philips facility in New Mexico. And this facility was supplying to Nokia and Sony cell phone production, right? They were manufacturing chips basically. And the facility was hit by a lightning strike. Once the Philips learned about the lightning strike, they kind of analyzed the situation, and their assessment was they could resolve the issue and bring the facility online in a couple of days. And they basically informed both Sony and Nokia about this situation. Sony kind of believed what it heard, and they did nothing. On the other hand, Nokia sent their own management team to the site. They assessed the situation with, again, and their assessment was this facility will not come back online quickly, right? As a result, they went and purchased the additional capacity with the other, plants, plus made some design changes to accommodate a different chip from another manufacturer. It turned out to be that this lightning strike was a significant thing because there was a fire afterwards, and the facility was offline for a couple of months. Sony lost about $500 to $700 million in that time frame because they couldn't manufacture anything, and they had to sell their cell phone business unit to Ericsson. So Nokia apparently had a crisis management or disruption management team they handled much better than Sony, which didn't have a clue. Now, we are in hurricane season, and the Houston area is prone to hurricanes. In 2008, when the Hurricane Ike hit region, Houston businesses, many of them, they had to close the doors and go basically wait out the hurricane. Within that time frame, utility company, electrical utility company had to provide services or try to repair everything as much as possible. And they had a basically supplier, one of our graduate students was working at the time. And after the hurricane, this graduate student who was the salesperson went to the utility company, and they talked, and he realized that a utility company wasn't trying to buy from them anymore. So he kind of investigated, and they talked a little bit more. It became obvious that during the hurricane, another electrical supplier approached the utility company, and they said they are open and they can do business with them and supply all the parts the utility company needs. So they basically said, okay, why not? If you can operate under these conditions, we would rather buy from you and continue to do business with you, right? So again, if you have a plan to how to deal with the contingencies, you may be even stronger at the end. But if you don't have the plan, you will lose customer, you will lose basically business even in some cases, right? And then, whatever you do, there will be some cases that you have to recall the products. Automotive industry is having many of these recalls recently, but the idea is that whenever you figure out there is something wrong, you have to create a cross-functional task force. These people need to understand which products are impacted and trace them, and design a reverse logistics channel for it, and finally bring the product to the reverse logistic channel, either replace, repair, or whatever, do whatever is necessary, right? So that is basically the end of customer service. And the next unit we are going to discuss the forecasting, and we will meet in the classroom on Monday. Have a good weekend. Bye bye.